Coming out. I really appreciate it tonight. My name is Lieutenant Colonel John Sage. I'm just John Sage, or Murdoch is my call sign. I used to be in the Army. I flew helicopters. Anybody that's old remembers the A-Team. That's kind of how that all connects. So, there you go. First of all, a big shout out to the Verona Fire Department for the fire truck and the display of patriotism. Really appreciate that, gentlemen. Thanks a lot. That's honestly what the theme of tonight is. It's about service, okay? It's about people that have given back to their communities. It's about people that have given back to their state, their country, you name it. So it doesn't have to be the military. It's just people that are involved. And that's what we really want to celebrate tonight. And usually the problem with people who are involved is they're usually too busy to talk to everybody else about what they're doing. All right? We usually don't tweet about it. We're just making stuff happen. So I really want to thank all the humble professionals out there that are making the world go round. And we're going to talk to that here. How we doing? Okay. All right. So we can't really go much farther without recognizing what day it is. Okay. For hopefully everybody in the crowd, we know that today's the 6th of June. And 74 years ago, American forces, Allied forces, all invaded the west coast of Europe to push into Europe and liberate European countries who were suffering under tyranny. Okay. So this is about celebration of the human spirit and our fight for freedom, and that's what we're all about. So just a little bit of a moment of pause to remember the D-Day invasion 74 years ago. All right, next. So we have a lot of honored guests here tonight, and if I'm missing anybody, look, this is a brewery. There is no formalness. We're in civilian clothes. And I'm not really good at formalness anyways. If I swear, look, my mom is here, which is bad, and I'm also live, so I need you guys to correct me on that. I'll try not to do that. But, so first of all, we have a lot of honored guests here tonight. We got Senator Mark Miller. Sir, you here? Thank you, sir. Former 115th Fighter Wing fighter pilot, right? Thank you, sir. Have Representative Diane Hasselbein. Are you here, ma'am? Representative Hasselbein? Or is your husband Beener here? Former 115th Fighter Wing member as well, fighter pilot. Fortunately, they couldn't make it. Okay. I see Mr. Zach Brandon in the house. I saw you. There you are. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming out. President of the Madison Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, sir. From the Badger Area Community Council, we have Mr. Marv Siegert, Mr. Mike Moore. All right. We got a lot of folks involved in that. Those are the ones I'm going to highlight, but we're going to talk here in a little bit about what the Badger Area Community Council does here shortly. But again, thank you guys for joining us. We have retired Colonel Jeff Ace Wiegand, who's here. He's the Executive Director of the Badger Area Community Council. We have the 115th Fighter Wing Commander, Colonel Eric Norm Peterson. I just saw you, sir. There you are. Thank you for coming out and supporting the airmen and the citizen airmen. We appreciate it. All right, and of course, you got to recognize Mr. Carl Nolan. All right, Mark Nolan isn't here, but Carl's here, the father of the Wisconsin Brewing Company and the guy that made all of this possible. Thanks, Carl. We really appreciate all your support. This really means a lot to us, and you really make good beer. So thanks. All right, Miss Vicki McKenna from 1310 WTDY. Did I say that right? Yeah, I didn't even get close. Nice. Bad info. WIBA. I'm a frequent listener. I support it. Right. But it is 1310, right? I got that? Thanks, Vicki. Really appreciate it. Thanks. First foul of the night. Love it. All right. Next, we want to thank all the members here of the military and anybody that supported their communities in general. It doesn't have to be the military. Fire department, teachers, policemen, you name it. Look, you know who you are. I just want to give you all a big round of applause for everything you do. So thank you. All right, I talked a second ago about the Badger Area Community Council. So what those guys do, it's a whole bunch of folks that have been involved throughout their lives, and they've been involved in businesses, they've been involved in the military, but they know the story of the humble professional, the folks that are serving their community and don't really talk about it a lot. And what they're trying to do is tell that story. So we really want to just thank you guys for telling the airman's story. Look, I'm a fortunate enough guy to be a commander in the 115th Fighter Wing, and I have 261 airmen that serve their community and their state and their government every day. And they don't talk about it a lot, but they really, really do phenomenal work. And the diversity of their background, we'd be here all night. But the Badger Area Community Council tells their story. So thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for all of your participation within the Badger Area Community Council. And thank you, Badger Area Community Council, for your support of the 115th Fighter Wing. We really appreciate it. All right, lastly, for anybody that's not involved in that stuff, no big deal. Madison community, look, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everybody in Madison. All right, this is the best place to live. We're a little bit worried that the secret's out, okay, because everybody's going to want to live here, but we know it, and it's a phenomenal place to be, to live, to raise a family, and to still contribute to, again, your state and your nation. So to the community, to Madison, thank you all for your support. We really appreciate it. All right, I'm going to go into some dialogue here, and there's some military jargon, and I see a lot of military faces, but I think there's some military non-faces out here, so probably the long beards would be the giveaway with that. But nonetheless, I'm going to paint the picture of how we're constructed. So you're going to hear us talk a lot about the 115th Fighter Wing. Can everybody hear me okay, first of all? So I don't. All right, go. All right, so you're going to hear that, but then you're going to hear references to the 176th Fighter Squadron. If you've had any can of Lightning Amber and you happen to, as you're drinking it, read this back of it, it talks about Carl Nolan's dad, Pierce Nolan, who came to the 176th Fighter Squadron. Look, the 176th Fighter Squadron is a part of the 115th Fighter Wing. The Fighter Wing does so much, okay? So there takes a lot to make fighter jets go up in the air, and it isn't all just about fighter jets flying. It's about the support that we give to the community. So what the Fighter Wing consists of, it consists of an operations group, which also supports that 176th Fighter Squadron, those fighter jets, the pilots, and all the airmen that support that mission. But hey, somebody's got a wrench on those things, right? So I'm a proud commander in the 115th Fighter Maintenance Group. Okay, so you have the maintainers that fix those jets. Well, somebody's got to make sure that everything else comes together. And then you have a support group. Those guys do that. So the 115th support group, I can't even tell you what all the different jobs that consists of, but you have engineering, you have administrative skills, you name it, it's covered in the support group. And if it isn't covered there, we also have the medical group. So somebody's got to make sure that we're cleared to go fly, right? And that all airmen are healthy to go fight and do what they need to do, and that's our medical group. And then we also have, within the wing still, is the 115th Fighter Wing, the Aerospace Control Alert Mission. So after 9/11, pretty big revelation that, hey, we don't have the capability, maybe as quick as we want, to be ready to go at a moment's notice to defend our nation if somebody's attacking us. So ever since that day, we've had jets and pilots and all the required support to be able to launch those jets in minutes to get off the ground and prevent that threat from actually affecting our communities. So the Aerospace Control Alert Mission has been there 24/7, 365 ever since 9/11. And that's all part of what the 115th Fighter Wing supports and is the parent organization too. All right, so now we've talked about kind of how the Fighter Wing is composed. Now I got to give you a little bit of summary about the kind of people that are within the 115th Fighter Wing. So if you got docs, well, what are they doing in their free time? What are they doing in their civilian lives? Well, they're probably ER docs. They're surgeons. A whole lot of smart people are doing that. Within my maintenance squadron alone, I have more engineers that I can even count. So we have mechanical engineers. I have a potato agronomist, agronomist? I can't even say it correctly. The diversity of the backgrounds of our airmen and their civilian capacity is unbelievable. We have middle school principals, we have high school teachers, we have elementary school teachers, we have policemen. You name it, they are there in the 115th Fighter Wing. So the citizen airman is kind of what we want to talk about tonight. And again, it's just not necessarily out there and known because we're kind of quiet and pretty busy caring about our normal lives. So that's what we consist of. Now, to paint a quick portrait of what the 115th Fighter Wing does, I'm going to give you just what we did in the last year. And if you can think about that year, we pretty much do just about the same thing every year. So in the last year, we sent 250-ish airmen over to South Korea with 12 jets, and they supported the theater security program there out there to defend against tyranny in North Korea to South Korea. Okay, so the theater support package, I couldn't say that right. That's the TSP. So we send 12 jets, all those airmen, to fight the warfighters game. Okay? So we got that going on. Meanwhile, while that's happening, we have Hurricane Harvey, we have Hurricane Irma. All of those things are happening, and guess who keeps getting called upon? The 115th Fighter Wing. All right, so while those airmen are fighting wars or getting postured to, we have people trying to support against national disasters. We're sending 600 Army National Guard soldiers out the door, and our airmen are processing them to support southern United States efforts to clean up the areas and provide support, as well as go down to Puerto Rico and make sure their airport can operate successfully. They can communicate successfully. Somehow we can get some electricity going. That's all part of what our 115th Fighter Wing Airmen did in the last year. So it's pretty remarkable. So again, quick round of applause for everything that all those airmen have been doing. All right, quick history lesson. So, where does the National Guard come from? So, back in 1636 was the earliest kind of recorded date. Back in Massachusetts, we set up militias to defend against, to help support the cause and freedom in general, okay? And for the United States to ultimately form. So, the first militia was formed in Massachusetts in 1636. Over several hundred years, we have a constitution that becomes solidified. We become the United States of America. And guess what? The one branch of military that is actually required by the Constitution is the National Guard. So for us to defend ourselves against internal, external threats, that's what the National Guard does. And again, the Air National Guard, which came here in 1948, is all a part of that process. So in 1948, October of 1948, the 176th Fighter Squadron came to Madison, Wisconsin, Truax Field, and that's where it all started. That's where the story started, okay, 70 years ago. And we had F-51s, P-51, F-51 Mustangs, and then we've had several aircraft and several missions since then, but that dynamic and that diverse airman has been the standard story throughout the years. And that's kind of our background, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. All right. Now, one of those first pilots that was in the 176th Fighter Squadron was First Lieutenant Pierce Nolan. Okay? Came here in 1948. Started flying F-51s, P-51 Mustang, depends on how you want to call it, what year. And he served. Initially started enlisted in the Army Air Corps before the Air Force even existed in 1945. And then once the World War II kind of died out, and then he came back to his home state, grew up in Ridgeway, Wisconsin, left the family farm, enrolls in the Army Air Guard. World War II dies away, and then he comes back to his home state and serves in the Wisconsin Air National Guard until 1954. So that's the story of Mr. Pierce, First Lieutenant Pierce Nolan. Now, he had a couple kids, didn't he, Carl? That's right. 9 kids. All right? 2 of those, Carl and Mark, went on to form Wisconsin Brewing Company. And they just wanted to celebrate their dad. They just wanted to tell the story. So you got a fantastic citizen airman who does his job, does his due diligence, and comes back and raises a fantastic family. And they've gone on to make their community and their state a whole lot better. So thank you guys again. All right, I got another family story to tell you. So the current fighter squadron commander is Lieutenant Colonel Bart BVR Van Roo. He's been in the Guard for, Bart, where you at? There you are, all right. Been in the Guard for what, 20 years total? More than that? 26 years. All right, so he's the current fighter squadron commander. Back in 1989 to 1993, his dad, Lieutenant Colonel Richard Boss Hogg Van Roo, for any of those Dukes of Hazzard fans out there, was also the fighter squadron commander. So pretty phenomenal family legacy to be able to capture 2 fighter squadron commanders with the same family lineage. So that's pretty remarkable. Oh, by the way, 7 other Van Roos have also served in the 115th Fighter Wing. That's just one story. I'm telling you, I got a lot more of them, but we'll get back to beer drinking here shortly. But thank you, Van Roos. All right, bear with me. All right, I think we've kind of talked about the highlights, guys. We're ready for the moment of truth. So again, we've talked about the 70th anniversary of the Citizen Airmen within the 115th Fighter Wing. One of our own airmen designed the 70th anniversary tail design to go on our 70th anniversary jet. And that was Sergeant Mary Greenwood. She couldn't be here tonight. You know why? She's out serving her state and her country. Where's she at? Penny? Alabama, right? Yeah, doing medical training or actually support.
She's doing TA of our medical troops down there.
Yeah, so we have medical troop support supporting down in Alabama, and Mary Greenwood is actually covering that. So again, I don't know. There's too many stories to tell, and I'm going to get them about half right, so bear with me. But Mary designed this, so here it is. Here comes the 70th anniversary tail. We got the 50th and the 60th. Actually, before I go any farther, Sergeant Marlon Sherman, where you at? All right, so you see these two other here? These other tails up here? Sergeant Marlon Sherman painted those. 29 years of service to the fighter wing. Thanks, Marlon. Appreciate it. All right, back to the 70th. See this design there? The pilots have two patches on their shoulders that they typically wear throughout the week. We have the Fighter Squadron patch, which has the Badger on it, and an F-16. And on the left side, we have the 115th Fighter Wing patch. And this captures the majority of that. So if you look on it, we got a bow that's cocked and ready to go to symbolize our readiness at any point to fight and do what we need to do, both for the state and the country. We have the lightning bolt, which represents how quick we can actually affect the fight. And then we have the broadhead tip of the arrow, which is the strength at which we bring to the fight, or whatever capacity we're told to serve in. So that is that portion of that design. Now you have the outline of the state of Wisconsin. Well, duh, we're in Wisconsin, right? Right, and that's just to recognize everything that we're a part of, and very proud lineage, and very proud to be a part of this fantastic state. And if you look at it, so it's left side, you got the Capitol, all right? So we're defending the state, and that's what that represents. And then over on this side, I guess that'd be my other left or the right, okay? You got the historic significance of the aircraft that we've flown. So past, we got the F-51 or P-51 Mustang, and then present, we're currently flying the F-16. Amazing airplane. And now guess what? Hopefully here in the future, the F-35, all right? The Air Force has designated it. The Air Force has looked at the data. They've looked at the data, and the government's looked at the data, and they're like, you know what? This place has the best bang for the buck. This place, Madison, Wisconsin, allows us to get the most taxpayer bang for the buck to support an amazing mission. You have an amazing aircraft. You have the smartest people probably in the world right here. I'm biased, all right? Okay, and a phenomenal place to live in. And then, oh, by the way, our airspace is just 50 miles away. So it doesn't take that much time to get there, and it's amazing airspace. Oh, by the way, in the middle of that airspace is a phenomenal training facility that we use to train both air-to-air and air-to-ground. Oh, guess what? Hey, we have neighbors. They're in Milwaukee. They're tankers. We meet them in the airspace. And you know what? We stay up there longer. They get training. We get training. And now everybody is that much more efficient. So the efficiency and the story of what the 115th Fighter Wing does and the aircraft, the next generation aircraft, in my case, again, I'm not biased, but the F-35 is a logical evolution to the next step. And I'm very excited, and hopefully I'm super excited that the Air Force got it, right? They saw the numbers, and it just makes sense. So we're really excited to celebrate the F-35 in our future and celebrate the 70th anniversary of the 115th Fighter Wing. So again, quick round of applause for that. All right, so I'm a maintenance commander, right? I'm fortunate enough to be a fighter pilot and also get to represent our maintainers. And the concept and what we were going to do today was to unveil the 70th anniversary. But I'm telling you, and Marlon knows, that when you paint those tails, it's not very easy. Okay, it takes time. And when I told my airmen, hey, we want to try to paint this jet and hopefully get it turned around as quickly as we can, they're like, all right, sir, we're going to bust our butts and we're going to do it. And they worked odd hours, and they did everything they could to keep that jet, to get it in and out and repainted. And they did it. Wasn't sure if we'd have it ready for tonight. So we just did the tail design. That was my promise to the fighter wing and to Wisconsin Brewery. However, standard, they came ahead, all right, or they came ahead of the game, and they ended up finishing the project about 3 days ago. And we were fortunate enough, thanks to Mr. Joe Oliva. Where are you at, Joe? All right, Joe came out and dedicated. He's a professional photographer. The man takes amazing pictures. Came out on his own time on Monday night. What day is it today? It's Wednesday. All right, came out on Monday night from 7 to God knows when, and took some phenomenal pictures of our anniversary jet. The maintainers got it done. Joe captured it, and we want to show you guys what the jet actually looks like. So we got the tail design. It's pretty amazing. And then we also have on the front of it, didn't talk to that yet, but that's the Fighting Falcon, right? The F-16 is the Fighting Falcon. We also have that painted on the front. And some phenomenal work of some phenomenal maintainers that made that happen. And let me tell you, it looks a lot easier than it is. So again, those guys really did an outstanding job. So we have the first print here, or a dedicated print that we want to give to Carl Nolan and his family. Of our first jet, our 70th anniversary jet that actually got done ahead of time. Carl, thank you so much, and Wisconsin Brewing staff. Thank you guys so much for what you've done. This is to you, and this is on behalf on all the airmen and all the citizen airmen of the 115th Fighter Wing. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Joe, for making that happen. All right, you're the best. Love it. What's that? All right, so we got a couple more. If you were worried that Carl had the only copy, he's got a good one, but we got another one. All right, it's number 1. Joe Oliva has let this off to auction off tonight. So if you guys didn't know, we got a lot of silent auction items happening on the side of the building over there. Please put in your bids. There's a couple items that we think would be good to get some crowd participation. Easy for me to say. Participation. No more beers for Seisha. I'm lying. I don't have one. All right. Participation. All right, so we're going to do a live auction about 6 o'clock. All right, so the silent auction will stop, and then we'll roll right into the live auction. We're going to auction off a couple items. 3 photos is what the plan is. And I'm fortunate enough here, so where's my dad, Big Jim Seisha? Where you at? There he is. Look, this guy's, you talk about support. If you guys didn't know, Wisconsin Brewing also made a 32nd Infantry Division beer, right? Am I saying it right, Dad? All right, the Red Arrow beer. Okay, it came out a couple months ago, maybe almost a year ago. My dad was a part of that. He was an Army Ranger back in '67 is when we went through Ranger School, and finished off his Army career, and then went in to have a phenomenal FBI career for about 30 years. But in the meantime, for whatever reason, he grew up in southwest Wisconsin, and I don't know, apparently he thought it would pick up girls, but he decided that it would be cool to have auctioneer schools or skills and develop auctioneer schools. The dude used to practice his auctioneer chant back behind his dairy barn in Melrose, Wisconsin, 60 years ago, Dad. He's good, trust me. He's been doing it for 50 plus years, and he's going to auction off those items. So I hope you all stick around for that, because the guy's a character. So we'll do the silent auction, and then we'll auction off those last 3 photos, one of which is, again, Joe Oliva, number 1. Again, Joe dedicated his time and resources to the fighter wing and the landing strip, which I'm going to talk to here in a second, to raise money for us. And that is the print that's going to be auctioned off here at about 6 o'clock by Big Jim Seisha. All right. So, lastly, we're going to talk about the landing strip and kind of what all this stuff is for. Again, we want to promote the message of the citizen airmen, but the landing strip has been a fantastic work in progress. It's all of the airmen coming together and seeing that, you know what, we really bust our butts all day, and then we go home. But it would be really cool if we could hang out every once in a while. Maybe have a beer, maybe tell a story, maybe make fun of each other. All right. It's an all-ranks club, and it's a way for us to responsibly socialize with each other. Because a lot of times stuff gets lost in the professional mix of things. And the business we're in, the warfighting business, sometimes we don't have time for that. So the health and the spiritual and the moral, or you name it, the social health that we're trying to develop within each other, and leaning on each other and putting down the iPhone, not tweeting so much and actually talking to each other. That's what the landing strip's all about, okay? So we're trying to raise money for that so we can continue to have social events and grow as community servants. So that's what your money's going toward once this silent auction and ultimate auction concludes. So we thank you all for what you're doing, and hopefully for your contributions and participation in tonight's event. Have I missed anything?
Another station.
Oh yeah!
Another station.
I know another Seisha. So we got Big Bang Baby, my little brother and his band. They're a great 90s covers band, phenomenal musicians that have been doing this for a long time. They're going to be up here playing at least for an hour, and if you like them, they might play more. Throw some stuff out at them. I don't know that you can honestly stump them. They can just about play anything. They're really, really good. We hope you enjoy their entertainment. They're going to be playing for a while. We'll cut it in a little bit and go to an auction and come back to that. We also have food. Okay, we have brats, burgers, you name it, over there on there, or maybe it's just brats. Just brats? Brats and hot dogs over on my left. Please participate in that, or partake in that. And that, all the proceeds go to the landing strip for that as well. Is that it? All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the night. Big Baby.